Liz. I am back with one of my birthday dolls that I received as a gift from my friend Teresa. It was very sweet of her. This one was featured in my happy birthday box opening doll haul, and I'll link that in the description below. That way you can see what she looked like when I got her. She wasn't in horrible shape, not for 1967. She was well cared for. She was not mistreated. Her hair just had what you would expect from a doll that age. And in the video you can see it looked as though she didn't have much hair left, but guess what? Through the miracle of simple shampoo, which I did last night, just with a mild shampoo, and I let that dry overnight, and you can see it got a lot of sheen back into it. And I have demonstrated this in another video. I'm going to see if she'll sit still here. Where I use, and excuse me for clearing my throat, I use a roll of tulle to wrap around the head in different directions to keep the hair laying down how I would like it while it dries. I did go through and trim the back just a little. I didn't want to take a lot of the length off, and I trimmed just a little bit around here, but I'm not sure. I think I'm just going to leave it like that, maybe not. Then I went ahead and trimmed just in the direction, just the little stray hairs in the direction I wanted it to be styled. And it had a little bit more of a thicker bit of hair here. I don't know how this doll was styled, the hair was styled originally, but I thought, well, I'll just use that in my favor and use it as a feature, I guess, for the doll, and made that thick, extra thick part over there be part of the hairstyle. So I think that is, you know, just adds a little bit of something to her and some personality. Her eyes were cloudy, but not from the inside, which is what we normally see with water damage. This was just dusty on the top, which it looks like I do need to go back through and with my light and my magnifier glasses and look a little bit closer and just tidy that up a little bit. But all the lashes are there, the eyebrows are there, just a little hint of some marring on the lips, which won't take any time at all. I wiped her down with a washcloth, and I used my fingernail brush to get into the crevices of her fingers, her fingernails, her palms, and I did take a toothbrush and got inside her mouth, because that's another place, and her ears. That's just, you know, typical where dirt will collect. And her body, the last thing that I did before I laid her down so she could dry overnight is I saturated her with Lysol, and that's just on the fabric, and that's just something that I do to sanitize the doll and get rid of any odors that might be. And if your doll has from a smoker's home, which thankfully this doll was not, it might take a couple of those, and you might actually have to sit them out in the sun, but eventually the smell will go away. Anyway, this only took one application of Lysol because it didn't really have a smell. It just didn't. The thing is, when I get the doll, I will usually do everything I would do for it just to freshen it up. And part of that is to just spray the body, the fabric body. And I took the seam out on the side, oh, actually over here, and I put a little bit of polyester fiber fill inside just to beef her up a little bit because she had the little foam chunks. I always think they look like diced potatoes, but those collapse over time and lose their fullness. So, and again, not that's just expected. It's not a surprise. So I just pushed the foam up and then just filled her middle with the polyester fiber fill just to give her a little bit of her fullness back so she can sit up. And it did have a crier inside that was broken. You could hear it when you moved her. So I'm just taking it out for now. I did start working on several of these. I'm not really sure that it's worth it to put in the time when I can go ahead to purchase, because I've had Some of the criers that I opened up and fixed very well and very easily, but then others just, they're so far gone that it's just not going to happen. So I may just skip on putting one back in her. Not important to me that she have her crier. As you guys know, I don't always want the doll to be exactly the same as it came. And I wanted to show you something very neat that I discovered after taking her pajamas off. And by the way, her pink pajamas were a preemie size, so I thought those were doll pajamas, but they weren't. They were actually preemie size, so that's good to know that she wears that size. At least babies in 1967 were that small. But this is what I wanted to show you. Her little girl who owned her, her mommy's name was Beth Ann. And I always love finding that because it tells a little bit of a story. One, it tells you who the original mommy was, and normally what I'll do, all of the dolls usually will get a name eventually, but if they were marked with the little girl, the mama, her name on it, then that's just going to be her name. So meet Beth Ann, everyone. And the other part of the story, either they had a very careful mom that wanted to keep track of their children's toys, or perhaps they had siblings or cousins. And I always like to imagine that there were multiples of these dolls. And I actually bought 2 Welcome Home babies that had, they were sold together, and they had the 2 little girls' names on each of them. Sometimes, maybe for Christmas, all the little girls were given the same doll, so they wanted to keep track of whose was whose, because a smart mom might realize, hey, you know what, there might be some bickering and arguing over whose doll belongs to who, especially after the doll starts to go on adventures and maybe get a little bit of a scuff here or there, and there might be a little dispute over whose doll is whose. And you know, Beth Ann wanted to keep hers nice and tidy, and maybe she had a cousin or a sister that wasn't so nice or tidy, and she didn't want the switcheroo happening on her with her doll. She wanted her baby back. So since I've been so wordy, I think I'll go ahead and make this a part 2, and we'll take Beth Ann on to get a little bit more cleanup. Because it just looks like she needs just a little bit more TLC, and that's fine. This is not, like, again, I always say it's not unusual. In fact, I love to see that a doll was cherished and played with, and the time to clean it up and get it pristine is when you bring it into your collection. So she could pass, you know, if I went ahead and put some tights on her and displayed her, she'd be fine. She has no, you know, odors or anything, and she's already display worthy. The thing is, I don't know when she will come across another person like me. So now's the time for me to clean her up and then put her on my shelf. So then if she's passed along to a grandchild or, you know, a niece or what have you, then she will be in a very nice shape, and no one will have to do anything with her. So that will be part 2. I'll take you along with me, and we'll be just cleaning up her face just a little bit more, and we'll see if we can't keep her blushing. We might maybe change it a little bit, make it a little bit more uniform, but we'll see. We don't know. We'll have to see. I'm always open to see what the doll is telling me, quote unquote, and see what works and what won't. And you'll see her all dressed up and cute in part 2. So stay tuned, you guys. Thank you for spending some time with me, and I hope you have a magical day. Bye-bye.